What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse on the LCC Network. We are back, and for our 10th episode of the season, it has been a long break that we've had. For me and Jordan, it's actually been 24 days exactly since the last time we recorded an episode. For you guys, it's been a little bit shorter than that because we recorded back-to-back episodes that same night. But here we are. NFL free agency has been hot. And that is gonna be our primary talking point this evening. Jordan, what's going on?
What's up? Good to be back. We had a nice little podcast hiatus, but it's definitely good to be back.
We were on spring break. That's what it was.
Yeah. Woo!
Woo!
But good Thursday evening to everyone, and we're here recording.
That's right. Jordan got a nipple piercing at Myrtle Beach. I got a tattoo.
Yeah, man, bar straight through the nip.
That's pretty much it, though. Is we're just going to talk about our spring break. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about NFL free agency, some of the big moves, how we feel they're going to impact fantasy, and then how are they going to impact the real NFL teams as well.
Yeah.
You ready? You ready for this?
And if we leave anybody out that you guys think might have a big impact this year, let us know.
That's right.
I want all the insider information.
I do too. I want to know everything there is to know about Tyrod Taylor. You know, I want to know it.
Yeah.
I want to know how great he's going to be in Houston.
Well, I might tell you. Well, I won't because he's not on our list.
All right. You want to play a little song for us, Jordan, as we go into this?
What song you want to hear?
I don't know. Surprise us.
She's got eyes of the bluest skies. Reminds me of childhood memories. All right.
That's what we needed. That is the one we needed for free agency.
Push it into free agent frenzy.
All right, here we go. First up, we got Kenny Golladay going to New York. Jordan, this is actually my favorite one. We started out with the best one, I feel like, and we're going to work our way down from here.
Yeah, oh well. It's a move. Yeah, you mentioned it being your favorite one. I definitely like this move. I feel like Kenny on the field can have a really good season. He surrounds himself with where he's not the only weapon. Yeah, so I like this move for Kenny, and I like it long term for Daniel Jones potentially. If Daniel Jones is ever going to be anything, it'd be right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
No, I agree. This is I think this is it for Daniel Jones. If he doesn't have a good season and if the Giants don't actually improve, I think a lot of staff members in that organization, including some of the players, are going to be on the hot seat, and they already are, in my opinion. And I think this is, do or die for Daniel Jones and Gettleman and all of those guys. I really think that Kenny Golladay is a great addition. I think Kenny Golladay is going to be very fantasy relevant this season. It's going to help Daniel out too, but as a whole, does it actually help New York propel themselves? I don't know, because I think a lot of their issues have been somewhat self-inflicted. You can argue injuries and so forth, but there's so much running back depth, in my opinion, in the NFL these days that I don't think that's a legitimate excuse anymore.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how much it'll help legitimate team-wise with winning, but I definitely feel like it's fantasy relevant and could propel him into a big season along with like Daniel Jones and take some pressure off of Saquon Barkley coming back from injury. But yeah, who are their other receivers off?
Exactly. Who are their other receivers?
I think they actually have a couple good more like to complement him at least. I can remember Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, I mean, they're okay, but
Yeah, I mean he's definitely going to be the alpha in New York.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Golden
I feel
Tate's
like
gone.
he can improve everyone's numbers. But we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, and we got another big signing here. And I can't honestly. It's been so long since we did an episode. I can't remember if we talked about this last time we recorded or
Yeah,
not.
you know what I was gonna say? I think we actually mentioned this on one of the last episodes just because the move actually went down earlier than all these, but just for fantasy relevancy, we will talk about Mr. JJ Watt going to the Cardinals because he is going to be IDP relevant.
Yeah, he always is. And I think with that front seven, I think it's going to allow him to get more one-on-one blocks instead of getting double teamed at times. And I think JJ he's gonna perform better because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're still going to have to double him some, but like you got to do the same thing to Chandler Jones on the other side, and not that one. I believe they're the same age. They may have came out in the same draft class, but just through an injury history, I would say J.J. Watt's got a few more miles on the wheels than Chandler Jones, and Chandler would see a few more of those double teams. Um,
What are your thoughts on the Cardinals this year? By the way, do you think they're legit contenders for the West?
I do think they are legit. I was probably too high on them last year coming in, liking that they provided Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins, but I really like the Cardinals. They improved the defense. I feel like that offense is just gonna be even better. I mean, just to keep the train rolling, we have them further down the list, but since we're already on the subject of the Cardinals, the offensive addition that they had that is fantasy relevance, AJ Green on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll just keep it with Arizona. What do you think about AJ Green?
You know, AJ Green. I don't think he's gonna be fantasy relevant, but I do think he's gonna help out Arizona more than he's gonna help out fantasy teams out there. I think there's gonna be situations where we're gonna see AJ Green make plays and ending up on Sports Center or something like that because he has that potential. Even though, I mean, let's face it, he's definitely at the back end of his career now. This could be his last year, or maybe he has another year after this. But um, AJ is one of those guys I think can definitely contribute to that Arizona offense. It's already solid. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
realistically, is AJ Green going to be one of their top three receivers? I don't know if he can.
I guess I'm a little higher on AJ than you. I think it's a good move for him, and the number one priority for him is gonna be health. Of course, if he's not on the field, he can't do anything. But I feel like fully healthy, AJ Green can be a solid number two next to DeAndre Hopkins, and I actually feel him with a healthy year pushing the 900-yard mark personally. But
Wow.
that could just be uh me being a fan of the past, but I could already see we have slightly different opinions on AJ.
Fun fact: I saw AJ Green play in state championship game in South Carolina.
Yeah, those were the AJ Green days I remember.
Yeah, me too. When he played at
That was one of
Somerville.
the yeah, he was one of the best receivers I've ever seen in high school.
Yeah, definitely. I think he could argue probably one of the best ever to come out of the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, and sadly, programs like South Carolina and Clemson let him get out of state to Georgia.
That's just mind blowing. I do wonder like how does that happen? But there's just some athletes out there that want to get away from home. Whether it's
Yeah,
like
that's true.
influences they had back home, they want to just get away from that.
Not everybody wants to stay at home, so I get it. But on the other hand, at the time, neither one of us had a juggernaut of a program either. So
Yeah,
I could see him going. He was trying to win a championship with Matthew Stafford, so I see it.
isn't it? That's. I know we're getting off topic and we're going
Yeah,
down a rabbit hole, but Matt Stafford and AJ Green
it's
on the
fine.
same team is so crazy to think about.
Oh yeah, they should have probably won more than they did, but hey.
They should have, yeah.
But yeah, there's our Cardinals
That's our Cardinals, yeah. Went from
segment. Yeah,
J.J. Watt to talking about high school football.
and I said it all. I believe it was me and Cody were all on the early on the Kyler Murray MVP train last year,
Yeah, I remember.
and I mean,
He's
I'm
electric.
I feel like I'm just gonna be screaming it again this year all over. Like he's got a year with Hopkins under his belt. I just said how strongly I felt about a healthy AJ Green. So I feel like Kyler can have a year.
I do think Arizona is definitely the top two of that division this year for sure, hands down.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean,
I
it's
just
tough
don't.
because
Winning the division is going to be the hard
it's
part.
most likely the best division in football, so it's really tough. But I do like them.
All right,
Uh,
let's move on to every Bears' favorite quarterback now, Andy Dalton.
yeah, we're not saying go out and spend a third round draft pick on Andy Dalton, but I guess in the league that we're in, 24 teams, one player pool, every starting quarterback in the NFL is fantasy relevant at some point or another. So as of right now, the Red Rifle is starting for the Chicago Bears, and that makes him fantasy relevant. What do you think about it, Pat?
It's just crazy, man. Andy Dalton refuses to go down. He's got the most heart out of anyone I feel like out there. But I mean, there was a time when Andy Dalton, like everyone was singing his praises early on in Cincinnati. Obviously, fast forward to 2021, I think a lot of people are just done with Andy Dalton at this point as a starting quarterback, at least. I mean, last year he ended up starting because of injury. It's not like the Cowboys actually brought him in to be their guy. I mean, Dak Prescott was their guy up until he got hurt. Um, this just says a lot about Chicago's quarterback situation for the past 20 years. Realistically speaking, I mean, actually longer than that. Name me a good quarterback, Jordan, that you remember in our lifetime that went to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean the only good. I mean, I'm not even gonna say good. The only quarterback that pops in my head when I hear Chicago Bears in our lifetime is Rex Grossman. So that tells you. I guess there was like a Jay Cutler
Yeah,
too.
it's true. I take that back. Jay
I
Cutler
mean,
was solid.
but honestly, Rex Grossman pops in my head, and it was because the whole Super Bowl run when we were a little bit younger. Um, so yeah, that's kind of weird. Andy Dalton's probably the best they've had in a while, probably since Jay Cutler. So
I will say Jay Cutler actually, I'd have to go look at the stats. Statistically speaking, he might be one of the best quarterbacks they've had.
yeah, he put up some nice numbers a few of those years.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see what Andy can do. See if he's got a little more red in that rifle. Just kind of like a point where you had with AJ Green right there. Fun fact with Andy Dalton is I saw him play in person when he was at TCU. They came to Death Valley and beat Clemson in just this sloppy like defensive game. I want to say the score was like 10-3 or something like that.
Man, I
It
miss
was
those days.
it was a terrible game, but Andy Dalton got it done. I'm sure Cody was with me. I'm sure Hunter was at that game too. But some terrible Andy Dalton memories in Death Valley. So I hope he has fun. Is it still Soldier Field? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
most people at least call it that. I don't know if that's the official name anymore. If I get sponsored by it now, but
yeah, I feel you.
I don't.
Well,
No one calls it
OU
anything
fans
else.
know Soldier Field.
Yeah. All right, we got two guys that went to Washington to play for the football team. You got Ryan Fitzmagic, going to play for the football team, along with Curtis Samuel, who Ron Rivera is putting a miniature Charlotte outside of our nation's capital with the football team. I keep wanting to say Redskins, but Obviously,
Yeah.
that's not a thing anymore. But
And I just realized on the abbreviation. It's,
WTF? I know.
yeah, I got that WTF instead of WFP. But so yeah, the WTFs. Yeah, well, once again, like I said, not telling you to go spend a second round pick on Ryan Fitzpatrick, but any starting quarterback in the NFL is at one point or another fantasy relevant to the way we play fantasy football. So Ryan Fitzpatrick with the football team, and I really like what they have going on there. So if any veteran can get it done and spin the pigskin a little, Fitzpatrick may be able to get it done. He'll have Terry McLaurin to throw to. You just mentioned Curtis Samuel being brought in, who we'll talk a little more about. And just tonight, um, our fellow Dorman Cavalier Adam Humphries was signed by the football team, so they have a nice little trio of receivers. Um, Not to mention Logan Thomas had a breakout year at tight end last year, so we'll see what Fitzpatrick has. But I really like Curtis Samuel there too. I feel like he had his breakout year in Carolina finally, and he can go to Washington with a familiar coaching staff and be a true wide receiver too, and hopefully look for even more touches. So I'm rooting for Curtis. What do you think about Curtis from
Dude, I'm
Washington?
excited about Curtis being there. He's in I feel like kind of a similar situation as last year. In terms of like the guys around him and like his role in that offense, maybe it's actually might be a little bit better. The only thing that does worry me is the quarterback situation, but we'll see. I mean, the Redskins could still draft someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Use Fitzpatrick as the guy to develop him, like Miami did, and then go draft someone in the first or second round. I think they could do it still.
yeah, I agree with that, and that could totally going back a step. That could totally still be the case in Chicago, but the Bears have made a heftier point in saying that Andy Dalton is their guy on social media and things like that, which I don't really get. So they seem more inclined to stick with Andy, but don't be shocked if either one of those teams go for a young QB, like Pat just said.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You know, I don't know. Like they've got so much raw talent in Washington, and it is an if you I
Yeah,
almost said if you're a Redskins fan, if you're a football team fan,
yeah,
you got to be kind of excited. I feel like about what's going on there with in Washington, just because their defense is so young but so good. They're
yeah,
slowly building that offense. It kind of reminds me of the Carolina Panthers in that 2011 to like 2013 era when Ron Rivera was picking up steam in Carolina. That's kind of what's this I'm having flashbacks of right now when I look at the football team. Um, I don't know, it's something interesting going on there, and I think Curtis Samuel is going to be pretty fantasy relevant this year.
yeah. Their defense is absolutely raw. So I can expect big things from the football team in the future.
The football team. All right. We got, I mean, this is way less relevant than the other guys we've talked about, but Matt
Yeah,
Breida going to
yeah,
Buffalo. I don't think there's not much to say about Matt Breida's prospects. I think, if anything, this says even more so than beforehand, there are just too many backs in Buffalo to be excited about owning any of them in fantasy football. It
yeah.
just,
That's a good way to put it. Is we're not as excited about Matt Breida's potential in Buffalo as it does potentially cut into say Devin Singletary and Zach Moss's
and
relevance at all. So especially counting the few times Breida did get touches in his day. I mean he made things happen, so it just makes it a crapshoot really.
I think this speaks volumes to Sean McDermott's view on his running back situation because he can't truly trust any one of his backs right now. So is he bringing in a guy like Matt Breida who's no better than what he's got already? You know, he's just gonna roll guys in and out, and that method has worked for Buffalo, right? I mean, we've seen it work for them throughout 2021, or sorry, 2020 and 2019. So I think it's still going to be the same formula for them going forward. But again, I don't know if I'm interested in having any backs from Buffalo in my fantasy team.
Yeah, I can agree, and they can still make it work as a real NFL franchise.
Oh
Their
yeah.
passing game is that good, but from a fantasy standpoint, like it's almost seems to be the case they're going to try to find the hot hand as often as they can at running back
Mm-hmm.
and just have somebody not screw it up there while Josh Allen chunks it up to um, Diggs, and we don't have him on this list and probably should, but another one in Buffalo is Emmanuel Sanders becoming the number two receiver there.
That's true.
So we'll go ahead and say him in there too. Just thinking about what all they have on offense. So their passing game makes up for a lot of that, and I don't think they're really interested in finding a running back to hand the ball to 25 times.
No, definitely not at all. Because they've got their quarterback is just that. Allen's going to be. He is their running back if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the red zone, he's going to go get it if you need it.
Yeah, kind of like a younger Cam Newton.
Yeah, a little lighter skin complexion.
Yeah, and honestly, I think better than Cam Newton was at this point in his career, in my opinion.
As a passer, I would probably say yes.
So our next guy, Hassan Reddick, going to Carolina. Um, I
Yeah, this is
like
another
this.
IDP move.
Yeah, this is definitely an IDP move right here. I it's definitely worth rostering, I think, early on just to see what happens there. But I think Carolina, more than anything, is going to be rolling a lot of guys in and out. Is what this kind of tells me.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely worth rostering to begin with, though. I mean, the guy had 12 and a half sacks.
Yeah,
I'd hate to just think we bring that in and don't try to unleash it. So hopefully he's coming off the edge a lot, trying to bring those 12 and a half sacks to Carolina.
that'd be
And
nice.
if that's what we're asking him to do 90% of the time, I could see it happening. I mean, he had a lot of people are going to say Chandler Jones to work off of, but we have a young one in Brian Burns that's going to be commanding double teams this season, and hopefully Hassan Reddick can work off of that as well and at least approach the double digit sack number again for the Panthers.
Yeah, we got another. We got an interesting pair, Jordan, here going that went to New England. We got Hunter Henry, who I feel like has been in the league forever because I just think of the days Antonio Gates was also playing for the Chargers.
Yeah, and he was always supposedly supposed to supplant Antonio Gates, and Antonio always gave him one more year.
Yeah, exactly. And then is
But
it Johnu Smith? Is that how you pronounce it?
Jonnu Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, this is good for Cam. When Cam is at his best, when he has reliable tight end to throw to, always has been. So them getting two solid guys there, I think that's going to help Cam a good bit.
Yeah, Newton loves his targets over the middle, big, strong targets over the middle. Hunter Henry is good more for the team. If he stays healthy, against, I really love Jonnu Smith. Um, he's already proved he's fantasy relevant in Tennessee with what I feel like in Tannehill is an elite quarterback. So I really like what Jonnu has going for him. He goes and hooks up with Cam Newton. Cam Newton has a history in the past of loving a guy like Greg Olson. Greg Olson might have been one of the first fantasy relevant tight ends or what first tight end to have, I believe, three 1,000 yard seasons in a row.
Yeah,
So at those times, Cam Newton was absolutely feeding him and had no quorums about a tight end being his leading receiver. So with Jonu's skill set, I really like that for him, and I think he can push to be a receiving option in our league and right up there with maybe the likes of Kittle and Kelsey. Anybody else you want to? Waller. Yeah, so
yeah,
I like him. I like his ceiling.
yeah, I do too. Or
You want to add anything to that group? They can
not
run a
really,
couple
no.
receivers too, but I feel like with Cam Newton, it's going to be the tight ends are going to be more relevant. They
Yeah,
signed Nelson Aguilar, who had a good year for Oakland, but he's more of an over the top guy. So me and Patrick are just saying we feel more comfortable with the inline targets for someone like Cam Newton.
yeah, Yeah, I think it's going to help him. I'm not saying Cam Newton's a top 12 guy or anything crazy like that, but I think of Cam's floor at times last year. I think that floor is going to be bumped up a little bit because of this.
Yeah.
Our our next guy, this like hurts me to my core to say, but I'm very happy for him because he's now going to have a chance to truly be an RB1. Mike Davis going to the Atlanta Falcons. They paid him, I think, $3 million. I want to say. Um, Mike is, I mean, he showed in Carolina. The dude can run the football. And not that we had like an excellent offensive line or anything that helped him get there. Mike is just, he's good at making guys miss. He's a power back that is very shifty at times. And I think for Atlanta's, they've been a pass centric offense for so long. I know they brought Todd Gurley in. I feel like in a very awkward way. He was never really meant for that style of offense, but I think Mike can fit in that style of offense. He's a much better receiving back than Todd Gurley ever has been. And I really think Mike Davis is going to be the guy in Atlanta going into this year.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It seems like no running back has worked out in Atlanta. They even, like you mentioned, tried to bring in someone as prolific as Todd Gurley, hoping the injuries wouldn't follow him. But he just doesn't seem to be able to stay on the field. And just with McCaffrey going down, Mike Davis had the opportunity to step in, and he showed out. And in my opinion, this isn't the first time in his career that he's been given starter opportunity and produced starter numbers. So I've just
Yeah.
never got why he's gotten like less of an opportunity to be a number one guy. But like you said, I feel like coming to Atlanta, this could be the first time he does get a majority of offensive opportunities. And like you said, I mean, with a not so great offensive line, he was running hard, breaking tackles. He proved that he was a good receiving running back, which I think he did a little bit in Chicago already. But being with an offense like ours with Joe Brady and having McCaffrey in there, he had to do a lot of that with us and did it well. No worries as a pass blocker. Durability is Gurley's issue, and Mike Davis seems to always be healthy. So I really feel like he's going to piece it all together. He's really happy to be with his hometown team. I feel he's going to give it all, and we're actually going to see a pretty relevant season for Mike. And I would say over 1,000 yards rushing
Yeah.
and pushing 500 yards receiving
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy year, I think. And by the way, I was wrong.
because they're already going to be signing it.
Yeah. But by the way,
Yeah,
his contract's 2 years, 5.5 million. So it's better than I thought it was. Very sad. Jordan, I think part of the issue why teams have never respected Mike the way they should is his playing style doesn't fit today's NFL running back. And at 5'9", 216, he's a bowling ball. He's a shorter running back, but is just built like a bear, man. I mean,
definitely.
to me, he's like a more athletic Mike Tolbert when he was in the league, when
Yeah,
in his heyday at least, not the end of his career like in Buffalo, but
and like you mentioned, he's way more agile than people give him credit for.
oh yeah,
You think he's going to run through you, and then all of a sudden he makes a shifty cut right and runs up the sideline. Like he's got more juice than people think.
yeah. By the way, to give you guys a sample size of last season, he had 165 rushing attempts for 642 yards, but 59 receptions. That is good, man. That is good reception
Yeah,
total for a guy who's perceived as more of a power back throughout his career.
definitely. Hard head with soft hands.
Yeah, exactly. You don't find that very often, at
Yeah.
least in today's league. You're either one or the other. I guess we'll move on to our next power back, and I feel like a little bit less relevant is Mark Ingram going to Houston to play for the Texans. Is this like where running backs go to die now, Jordan?
Kind of seems like it, right? But yeah, I'm way less excited about him than Mike Davis. He's still got some juice when it comes to just a normal player, but I'm not too excited about the fantasy relevancy. I'm not too excited about anybody in Houston in general, especially with all the legal stuff happening with Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson's not on that offense, then nobody on that offense is relevant, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens there. But definitely don't see him, but serviceable.
Yeah. No, he's serviceable. I think there's certain weeks he'll be decent or okay, especially in our league where it's a 24 team league. Every single week there's at least 24 running backs and starting lineups, if not more, due to flex positions and so forth. So I think Mark Ingram. We'll see. We'll see. Like you said, Jordan, it's going to come down to Watson because if Watson is not the guy, I'm not interested in anyone in Houston. They're dead to me in fantasy at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll keep in the AFC
And I get
South
we'll
here.
move on. We'll stay in Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll stay in Houston, but flip over to the defensive side of the ball for IDP get. What do you think about Christian Kirksey in Houston?
it's going to be interesting, right? I mean, new coaching staff. There's a lot of changes there. I really honestly don't know. I guess I can look it up right now while I'm talking, but I don't know if they're going to be a 3-4 defense anymore in Houston. Historically, that's what they've been for. My God, easily the majority of their franchise, if not all, but like maybe 5 years. I feel like they've been a 3-4, probably. Like even back
Yeah,
when was it
I'm not sure
Mario
what to
Williams?
do.
Mario, what's his last name from NC State
Yeah,
that they drafted a long
was
time
it
ago?
was it Williams? Was it Williams?
Yeah, I think so. Like he played. I mean, they had him at
Yeah,
linebacker. You know?
yeah. I would assume it's still a 3-4 defense. Not 100% positive. David Culley is the new head coach in Houston, and I know he came from Baltimore, but he was the wide receiver coach in Baltimore, so I don't know how much defensive influence he's going to bring with him. But I would assume 3-4.
Yeah, I'm trying to look right now. I'm not seeing any solid answers, honestly. Hmm. It's something to watch
Well,
with their
give your
defense.
take on each system with him.
Well, Christian Kirksey, I like him a lot better in a 3-4 because he's going to be playing more interior. In a 4-3, they're going to be using him more at outside linebacker, and at that point, I'm not as interested. I'll still take a look at him this offseason for sure, but it's going to come down to what kind of defense does Houston run, and I think we'll find more of that out once we get to mini camps. So probably by June or so. Um, so we'll
Yeah.
see. Christian Kirksey very interesting, but they also brought in, God, we were just talking about it off the show, Jordan, the linebacker from Dallas.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
Oh man, it's
We're
gonna,
both, we're both blanking. All right. We don't
yeah,
want too much dead air.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Anyways, they brought in another linebacker too, so I think there is gonna be a battle in that depth chart this year.
yeah. So keep an eye on that before you make any moves with him.
We got
All right.
more AFC South talk with Marvin Jones Jr. going to Jacksonville. Um, I think we can assume Trevor Lawrence is going to be the quarterback in Jacksonville. So,
Yeah. I
barring
mean
anything crazy,
that's
but
all but sign the contract.
yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
Marvin's going to benefit from that, honestly.
Yeah. I do too. I really like Marvin. And it's weird. Another one that came from the Giants, right? It's almost like the Giants had two number one receivers sitting there and didn't really know what to do. Or not the Giants. They're both coming from Detroit. Excuse me. Uh, with Kenny Galladay and now Marvin Jones Jr. But I really like it. He's definitely, in my opinion, he's a number one type receiver and definitely better than the ones already on the roster. So, and I like it for him. All indications are Trevor Lawrence will be a ready product, and all they have to do is find weapons to get it to. So this is a great start, adding somebody with Marvin Jones's skill set to go along with already DJ Chark. So I like what the Jags did there, and I like that move for Marvin Jones and eventually Trevor Lawrence to.
Yeah, I think it's honestly it's a really interesting core kind of set up around Trevor going to Jacksonville. Like I think for this part of his career, this is probably the best that Jacksonville can do for him. So I feel like he's got a good chance to Marvin Jones at least. To come in strong and maybe even be their wide receiver one. We'll see. I mean, DJ's probably the favorite as their wide receiver one at the moment, but Marvin's definitely up there. You there, Jordan? Hello. Oh well, that was the end of our list, anyways, guys. We will catch you guys for next week for the 11th off-season episode of 2021. It's been an interesting year so far. We're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft, so a lot of exciting stuff there. We have totally forgot to remind everyone, by the way, of payments when they're due. So I think we're going to have to extend that deadline because that was on us. But anyways, we'll catch you guys for week 11 and see y'all later.